I considered myself to be the luckiest man in the world, but I didn't win the lottery, strike oil in my backyard, or find a drop-dead beautiful girl. I survived. Let me explain. Last week, I was cleaning my dorm with my roommate Alexander, but I just call him Alexander, or Alex. Everything was going as usual. The work was exhausting. We unpacked box after box. Our room was also our U-Haul, and we were sorting everything for what felt like decades. But it wasn't without fun. Occasionally we would unpack a box and stumble upon something nostalgic, like our sound recording pens we would use to spy on in our freshman year, or old assignments that we thought were torture, but now we would be respite. We were having a discussion about invincibility. Alex insisted that some things were just plain old invincible, while I argued that everything had a weak point. Anyways, we were nearly finished when Alex shouted to me from across the room. "Hey, look what's in this one," Alex exclaimed, grinning. I made my way over to him and traced his pointing finger to a box obtained my old Sega Saturn. I couldn't believe it. My long-lost friend had returned. We had both had Saturns as a kid. It was our favorite pastime. It was our childhood. A while back, Alex's Saturn had broken, and I had lost mine. But here it was, sitting in a musty box in a corner of our room. A whole piece of childhood memories and good times buried by adulthood had suddenly been unearthed. We had found a treasure worth more than gold. "Well, you want to play or just keep standing here?" Alex barked, jerking me back to reality. Sure," I replied, trying to convince Alex. Postponing the rest of the cleaning, we removed it and hooked it up to our old TV. Then we indexed the golden library of my old games. "Whoa, you have International Victory Goal?" "Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Sonic Jam." When we had browsed through everything, we set about what we should play first. We decided on Sonic 3D, Flicky's Island. For several hours we played through every game, reliving our childhood. It was nearly midnight, but we're still going strong. Alex removed the next game from the pile. It was Sonic R. "Oh, Sonic R, the Tails doll is gonna get you," he said, laughing and tickling me. "Hey, stop it, get off," I shouted playfully. I managed to stop his tickling. "Want to try the curse?" he moaned, imitating a spooky voice. Why not?" I replied. "I bet you don't even know what it is," he retorted. Of course I knew about the curse. You play a tag race on Resort Island as a Tails doll and tag Metal Robotnik or Egg Robo, Metal Sonic, and Metal Knuckles, tagging Super Sonic last. And after that, the Tails doll is supposed to steal your soul. It was all bullshit if you ask me. Nonetheless, Alex grabbed the controller and everything set up in less than a minute. The game started. The curse song, "Can You Feel the Sunshine," began playing. We were both reminded of the difficulty of tag race. Even though I wasn't playing, I felt Alex's frustration as he narrowly missed Metal Sonic, and Metal Sonic turned around. There were several moments of frustration throughout the race as we came close to tagging another player, then had the opportunity snatched from us as we bumped into the wall. After what felt like hours, Alex finally tagged Super Sonic, ending the race. We were both so relieved to have tagged him that we had forgotten about the curse. So when the Tails doll picture popped up on the screen, we both jumped. Everything was silent for a few seconds as the Tails doll seemed to gaze deeply at us, as a predator gazes at its prey, inspecting the meal. Forgot about the thing," Alex said, breaking the silence. I was so preoccupied with the race. "Yeah, me too. Well, this is boring. I'm gonna go get some chips." I guess I'll get some too. I'm a little hungry." Going to get the chips had made me less afraid. I had an excuse not to look at the thing anymore. But even when I was out of the room, I knew that thing was still staring at me. What made it worse was that "Can You Feel the Sunshine" was still playing in my head, and I couldn't get it out. After a few minutes of being out of the room, my fear had lessened. We had begun talking about what game we should play next. I wanted to play ROM hack, a replica of Sonic Extreme, but Alex insisted on Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Sonic Jam. After our little banter about the next game we should play, we went back into the room and we were once again confronted by the Tails doll. Alex had won our argument. We would play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Sonic Jam next. By this time, I had shaken off my fear and was ready to continue. Alex went to shut off the Saturn. Suddenly, my diminished fear returned, many times stronger than before. Alex had turned off the Saturn, but the picture of the Tails doll was still on the screen. Its eyes seemed a little blacker. Alex turned and saw me white with fear. "What's wrong?" he asked me. I didn't respond. My eyes were fixed on the screen. Alex turned back around and looked at the screen. Instantly, his jovial face was replaced with one with sheer terror. We were both silent for a minute. I turned it off. It's still there. He went back over the Saturn and unplugged it. Then the TV. Nothing changed. The Tails doll was still staring us down, hungry for blood. What the fuck's happening? Why is it still there? I unplugged it. What the hell is wrong with this thing? He shouted. Go away. Go the fuck away. Its eyes blackened even more. Get the fuck out of here, you goddamn sick bastard. Alex was provoking it even more with the shouts. Go away, you fucking demon. The lights in the room cut out. Our faces were illuminated by the light from the TV. Alex quieted down. Can you feel the sunshine was playing again? We both sat and listened. Finally, the TV turned off, leaving us both in pitch black darkness. What the fuck was that? Alex whispered to me. Tomorrow, I'm going right to the dean's office and filing a complaint. I'm going to get new lights, a new TV, and a new goddamn door. Do you hear me? I wasn't listening. I was distracted by a red light glowing faintly from across the room. I started to get up in anticipation of it moving closer. Alex was still shouting at me. I tapped him on the shoulder and pointed to it. He saw the light too, and shut up instantly. I was standing up now. Here, I whispered to him. He seemed to understand. We had a heater in our dorm room that was sealed off with iron doors. Now, I shouted. The light shot towards us as we began running toward our safe haven. It nearly missed me. As it flew past me, I caught a glimpse of his face. As I suspected, the light was coming off the red orb mounted on top of its head. He had a mouth stitched closed, and one ear seemed to be bitten off. The worst part was his eyes, two fathomless black voids staring into my soul. He shot past me and led into a pile of boxes. We kept running towards the heater. I was always the faster of the two of us, so I was about 2 feet ahead of Alex when it happened. I took a quick glance back to see a red light rising from the rubble. I also saw Alex's terrified face, trying to desperately keep up. The light shot towards us again. I saw it disappear behind Alex. Tony! He shouted. Then Alex fell forward, revealing a bloody claw emerging from his head. He had given me the time I needed. With one great Herculean effort, I flung open the door to the heater, darted inside, slammed it shut, and jammed it just in time to hear the metallic bang of something hitting the other side. I had made it. I was safe for now. I heard pounding from the other side of the door, followed by scraping, which sounded similar to nails on a chalkboard, but 10 times worse. The scraping subsided to pacing, which then gave way to silence. The only sound to be heard was the humming of the heater. There were no more sounds coming from the other side of the door. Was it gone? Could I get out? No, that's what it wants me to think. It wants me to think it's gone so it can rip me apart when I open the door. Other times my tidal wave of grief crashed down upon me once again. A few times I thought of giving up myself to it so I wouldn't suffer anymore. If I went up through there, I would burn up instantly. I kept trying to think, but there was something that always stopped me. That cursed song kept running through my head. Whenever I would think I had found a way out that could work, the song would play in my head and make me forget about my plan because of my fear. Can you feel the sunshine? Sunshine. Sunshine. That was it. I had figured it out. I knew its weak point. Memories of my conversation earlier with Alex came back to me. I had said that everything had a weak point. Now I knew the Tails dolls. The song wasn't a curse. It was a blessing. It told you how to beat the Tails doll. His weakness was sunshine. For a moment, I felt relieved. I felt that everything would be okay. But then I remembered where I was. There wasn't any sunshine inside a dormitory. All the blinds were closed, and it was night. Or was it? How long had I been in here? Maybe hours? It may be morning. I didn't have a watch or a phone, and there was no clock in the room. I couldn't tell what time was it by guessing either. My grieving might have been hours, or maybe minutes. It didn't matter. I only had one chance. Its weakness was sunshine. So how could I had to get it outside? The problem was that I was trapped by it. I would have to run past it, out the door, down the hallway, and out the door leading outside. I began thinking of what I would have to do to make sure I outran it. I had seen how fast it was before. How could I outrun that? I couldn't think. I was getting desperate to leave. I mustered up all the courage I had and flung open the door. It was still there. It had been waiting there the whole time, but I had anticipated that. As soon as the door opened, I was out. This may have been the scariest moment in my life. I nearly ran into it. With one giant leap, I cleared its head, rolled on the floor, and made it to my door. I think that it tried to sabotage me when I left the furnace. It didn't matter. I was still being chased. I tore into the hallway, dashing towards the exit. It seemed that the black air earlier had affected the entire building, because all the lights were out here too. I could see a red light reflecting off the far wall ahead of me. It was in the hallway too. With all the speed I had made for the exit. By now, the thoughts in my head had reached a fever pitch. If it was night, I was dead. If it was day, there was no guarantee that the sunlight would kill it. But when I looked back at it, I didn't care anymore. What I saw made me go all the way. I turned my head and once again saw its two black eyes fixated on me. Its sewn up mouth twisted into a smile. Then the strings holding it closed broke, and it opened its mouth, basking my skin in its warmth as I leapt out. But the Tails doll wasn't far behind. A second after I came out the door, it did as well, still grinning with its sharp bloody teeth. But then it stopped short, as if it had been struck through the heart with a sword. It then began to scream, its head pointed skyward. Its shrill scream pierced my eardrums as it climbed to the volume of a rocket engine. Then at once it enveloped in flames, it began flailing wildly as its skin boiled and blackened, small bits of it breaking off and blowing away in the wind. He had burned to a crisp. All that was left of it was a red glowing gem. I decided to keep it as a trophy for my victory. A few weeks later, I swore I saw the Tails doll's face in the gym, mouthing the words, "I will come back, and you know it. Can you feel the terrors of the dark?"